Unfortunately, this is just how Nvidia's positioned these cards, where they're creating such a gap between the highest end thing and the next one down these days that there's room to put something in the middle, like a 5080 Ti.
The 5080 compared to the 5090, you're basically getting half the specs for half the price. There's half the cores, roughly, half the memory bus, half the VRAM, and almost half the memory bandwidth.
The RTX 5080 does not suck as a GPU. It sucks in terms of pricing, it sucks in terms of positioning, it sucks in terms of the value it offers, especially if you compare it to previous generations, but most importantly, I think it sucks because it represents how Nvidia is treating PC gamers in 2025, especially considering how well they've been doing in recent years.
It highlights just how skimpy 16 gigabytes of VRAM feels on a $1,000 card, and how close we are to a future where it's necessary.
If I try to kick on the full RT mode, even using DLSS performance upscaling, neither GPU has enough VRAM.
Wouldn't really be looking at the new cards. I don't think you're missing out on that much in this GPU. If you don't want it, the 5080 here. In fact, I think a 4090 is still a much better GPU, like by quite a bit.
Hello, and welcome to the Finny Games. It's your host, BBG, aka BrokeBlackGamer. What's good, my BGs? I can tell you what isn't, and that is the 580. Even with all the blessed broke brilliance that I have, I could not find a way to conjure something like the 4090 or even the 5090. The 5080 class is dead. The 5080 class has died. It's been dethroned. It was dismantled. It all started with the 4080 12 gigabyte. Let's take a trip back to memory lane when we had the 1080 sell for $699. When we had the 2080 sell for $699. And we had the 3080 sell for $699. And then we had the 4080 skyrocket to $1,200. And then after that, we got a bootleg fake 4080 Super. I'm sorry, 4080 Super. And then they have the audacity to give us a card that is worth unlaunching itself. Just like the 4080 12 gigabyte unlaunched itself, 5080. I'm giving you the rope. It's time to do the same. We need something better. We need something good in between. You guys know I can be a little dramatic, but if you're going to charge this much for a 80 class card that isn't even up to par with its predecessors, there's not really any point of any of this. If we are used to getting something over and over and over again, generation after generation with a certain standard, and now the only thing that we have is a name, that means the 80 class is dead in all but name. And that's really sad. I remember when I was a wee little lad and I went and I graduated from high school, and one of the first things that I got was a 780. And the 780 was an incredible card. It wasn't like the 1080 Ti blew everything out the water. And later, that's what I got. And that was my first real man's GPU, or real woman's GPU if you're a woman out there. 100% of my viewers are men. I just saw that the other day. So women, like, come on, what are y'all doing? I'm pretty cool, right? No. So you have to keep in mind, like, the 1080 Ti, when that first came out, it was relative to the Titan X. So like, I would see things with the Titan X and I'd just be like, whatever, I don't really care, because my 1080 Ti is that good. I treated myself a year later to the 2080 Ti just because I have always been on the DLSS and RTX hype train. I never got off. I got my one-way ticket and you never go back. So I tried to continue to game this way, and I was using FSR3 mods on my 2080 Ti, just trying to, and I was using lossless scaling, you know, the duck, just trying to like max everything out. And a lot of you know I took a break from gaming, and then I got a 4080 Super expecting it to be the same type of 80 class tier. But remember, the 280 Ti, it was really relative to the Titan X. I remember because the benchmarks of that, It's like, wow, that card literally has 24 gigabytes of VRAM in 2018, double the performance, and my 280 Ti kept up with it. And I was like, that's a silly card to buy unless you're doing whatever it is you 280 or RTX Titan people did. I don't know, like not in my budget. But like, it didn't matter because you could be doing whatever the Titan / 90 class cards guys did with all their hoo-ah. They obviously need it for something, and then you could have that same performance as a gamer, but with just a little bit less VRAM. They didn't cut it down and take advantage of us. They always give us their best. I know the 1080 Ti, they delivered a little bit more, but remember, Jensen said, all my Pascal friends, it's safe to upgrade now. Mr. Jensen, it wasn't safe to upgrade for many because a lot of people who don't know anything about how you gimped the 80 class cards, they're not going to be prepared for that. If they're on a S30, a 20, or a 10 series card and they're going to these new cards, they're not getting any good relative performance. Daniel Owens made a chart about the price to performance not too long ago, earlier today, and it's historically worse than it's ever been. I'm putting his video in the description. Please go watch it. And you'll really see just how this downward spiral continues to go. And the 80 class card is literally, I'll say it again, it is dead in all but name. There's nothing that this class has to offer, and even if you just want to say the base 80 class cards are still somewhat relative, that's fine. I can understand that, but again, you're still paying a lot more than you should be. There is going to be a lot, but most people are pretty much like saying this card is DOA. With its gimped VRAM, it's not really going to be able to do what we would want it to do as gamers, which is put 4K on, turn on path tracing, turn on RT overdrive, and just crank the crap out of our new 80 class card. I believed the leak that stated that the 5080 would be 10% greater in performance than the 4090. At that point, I was actually a little pissed off because I had just bought my 4080 Super in September. I was like, so you're telling me 5 months later, if I would have just waited, I could have got the same exact, I could have got a freaking 4090 performance for $1,000, and now the people buying the 5070 Ti are going to get what I get. And honestly, that's usually how the generational leap goes. That's how it's supposed to be. But it just sucked that the Super wasn't an actual Super class card. If it was, this wouldn't be a problem. But like a lot of the 40 series gamers, we feel like we got cheated, which is why we're all like upgrading this generation. If we didn't get a 90 class card or the 4070 Ti Super, a lot of us felt cheated because the 4080 Super, it didn't do what we want it to do, and a lot of us were priced out of the 90 class cards. But again, in the past, the 90 class cards were a lot more relative. Even the 3080 Ti was super relative to this 3090. This is the first time the gap just continued to, like, it's not cool. So anyway, that's all I have to say today. This was a short one. There's just not much to say about the 5080, guys. Y'all know it. Like, it's just a dead card. I don't really know what to say about it. They killed the 80 class card. The only saving grace for this thing is 80 Ti class card. And with that being said, the Finny games are over for today.